Good evening, everybody. It's Cutler here on the Let's Talk to Cutler platform. It is Thursday. It's January 14th, and I'm here for only 1,800 seconds with you in whatever space you have allowed. I'm thankful. You all know we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 o'clock. It's when I go live, and we are having a conversation from this book right here, Billboards to Better, 366 Daily Sources of Motivation and Inspiration Along the Highway of Life. If you don't have it, you can always run over to Amazon.com and get it. You can go to my website, www.gbcutler, and get it because you all know what we do. I'm here and I want to make every moment meaningful, every minute matter, and every second significant. What I'll do in just a few moments is do a shout out to the LTTC VIPs, and we'll get started with our conversation. If this is your very first time, why don't you do me a favor? Do a thumbs up on the conversation. It encourages me and lets Facebook, not Facebook, lets YouTube know that you enjoy the content. And so, once you click on the thumbs up, if you haven't done so, make sure that you subscribe. And when you subscribe, also make that you click on the bell. The bell just gives you a notification, lets you know whenever I'm uploaded new content, lets you also know whenever I'm on live. Now, why don't you join me in the chat so I can shout you out, you all? I'm thankful for this time that we spend together. I really, really am. I'm so thankful every Tuesday and every Thursday we take this moment and you share a space, whether it's your living room, your dining room, your kitchen, the comfort of your family room, your bedroom, your front porch, your back porch, whatever space it is, you share that with me. And I am so thankful. I really, really am. So what I want to do is to go ahead and get started. But you all know how we do this. Every Tuesday, we will take a quote, we'll take our quotes and we discuss them from Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Then on Thursdays, we're back again. And we'll take the quote from Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the quote from Saturday, well, it's all day your way. You can use it to start a conversation. You can use it as part of your meditation, whatever you want to do. But just read it and then share it. And do me a favor, why don't you share this conversation that we're having? I want to do a special shout out to some people who I know are having dark moments in in their lives during this time. And I just want you to know, be encouraged. You are certainly in my thoughts and in my prayers. People go through different things, you all. So we never know. We never know what people are experiencing, and we never know with what they are contending. Kind to people. Let's be kind. Let's be decent. Let's be human in our interaction with everybody else. So as we are encouraging and inspiring and motivating each other, let's also remind each other to be kind and gentle and to be human in all of our dealings. All right. Let's remember to be kind and human in all of our dealings. Human kindness is more healing than you know. Human kindness is much more healing than you know. So let's treat people with kindness and respect and gentleness. I just wanted to remind us all of that. I don't necessarily know what the impetus of that was, but it was somewhere down in my heart. So I just wanted to share that with us. All right. I'm going to shout you all out in just a moment. But what I want to do first is to go ahead and start our reading and read this first quote. And a powerful quote it is. I want to read this first quote, and a powerful quote it is. And just to remind you all again, if you haven't done so, go ahead and do a like on this conversation. And why don't I shout out our LTTC VIPs for the evening? And they are the LTTC VIPs are Annie Cutler, Jackie Cares RN, and Audrey Lady Winfrey. It's so good to see all of you all. Thank you so much for being the first to arrive, the first ones to be here. I'm thankful for that. I know others are going to join, others are going to tune in, and others are going to hop in and ride along the highway of life with us as we look at the billboards to better you all. But thank you all for being the first ones to join in. But remember, yes, human kindness, you all, we can't beat it. We can't beat it. It's something that never grows old. It's something that you can't put a price on. It's something that you can't assess a value to. Human kindness. It comes from the soul and it is recognized by souls. All right. So that being said, I'm going to go on to our quote for January 13th. I'm going to go to our quote for January 13th. And I want to share this one with you all because it yet speaks to me. And I really hope it speaks to you as well. I really, really hope it does. January 13th, the quote says, if you're going to welcome God in, you can't give him a checkout date. If you're going to welcome God in, you can't give him a checkout date. And this is not this is not one of those thunder and lightning and brimfire and dooms kind of messages. It's not that at all. But it is just a message of inspiration, a message of motivation. I want to especially do another shout out to, and I know I've always already recognized just our the three VIPs for this evening, but I also want to recognize my cousin who's always so supportive. So that is my cousin Tim Taylor. Thank you so much for joining in, cousin. But again, let's pick up with our quote for the evening. If you're going to welcome God in, you can't give him a checkout date. You just can't. The heart is the altar where we invite God to abide. Make sure your altar is a dwelling place and not just for occasional visitation. You all, this right here is a lesson in patience. It's about learning how to wait. It's about learning how to trust the process. It's about understanding that your life is unfolding just as it should. And it is about learning how to breathe without rushing. I have to confess you all that sometimes I am impatient. I know some of you who know me think, oh no, not you, but sometimes I am impatient. And what I've discovered is that it's not always in my best interest to be impatient. For example, I've sat in a drive-through line, you all. I don't know about you, but maybe this is you. And if it is, please make me feel better. Put it in the chat and say me too. I have sat in a drive-through line, but because the line was moving slowly or too slowly for my own comfort level, it was moving that slowly, I decided to go inside. And I went inside, you all, and when I got inside, I looked at the drive-through window from inside and saw that cars that were behind me were now driving past the window while I'm inside waiting, whether it was a restaurant, fast food takeout, or a bank. So what I've learned how to do, y'all, what I've learned to do is how not to let my impatience forfeit my place in God's plan. I'm going to say that again. I've learned how not to let my patience forfeit my place in God's plan. Because what I had to learn, you all, what I had to understand is that God is not restricted nor distracted by time. So there is no such thing as it's taking too long for God to do fill in the blank. You understand? He created time. He can reverse time. He can stop time. He is not hindered by time. Thank you all for confessing and admitting that you've done the same thing. But our challenge is to learn how to operate in time while understanding that God operates in spite of time. He's not moved by seconds. He's not moved by minutes, like we are, you all. He's not moved by seconds. He's not moved by minutes, hours, or days. Because why would he be moved by something that he himself controls? It doesn't make sense. Why would he be moved by something that he moves? I mean, after all, and you all know this, that he let poor Lazarus stay in a grave. I wonder why. And that was because you all, his power was not limited to what we sometimes see as conditions of time. Not at all. So what I've learned to do is that when I invite him in, when I've invited him into my situation, into my life, into my heart, you all, what I've discovered is that his seat is to be one of permanence. God's seat is one of permanence, you all. For him, there is no checkout time. This is not a hotel. This is not a five-star hotel. It's not the grandest of grand hotel. There is no checkout time for him. I've learned that whatever space I've offered him in my life, whatever priority in my heart he has, it is for a dwelling and not for a visit. I hope you all, you know that this conversation about better tonight is about our a spiritual well-being. It's about our holistic well-being. And what I've decided is that if I'm going to believe God, if I'm going to invite him in, it is not for a visit, but it is for a dwelling. It has to be. There is something to be said for patience, you all. And this writing for January 13th is really about patience. There's something to be said about patience. Some of us don't have enough of it and wouldn't know how to buy it if someone gave us $1 million. Patience really, it's not just a saying, it's just not a cliche or hackneyed expression, but patience really is a virtue. You will never learn how to become the master of your soul until you learn how to exercise patience. Absolutely never. You will never learn how to master your soul until you learn how to exercise patience. We've heard it. The Bible says it. In patience possess you your souls. So what I've discovered, you all, is that we sometimes ask God to be patient with us, and we don't want to be patient with him. I believe it was Albertina Walker, and some of you all can fact check me on this and double check, my history of gospel music, but I believe it was Albertina Walker. So many people have sung the song, but I think she was the one who wrote it. Please be patient with me. And what I find so very interesting, you all, is that while we want God and other people to be patient with us, we don't want to be patient with God. But we should probably write another song that says, Lord, help me to be patient with you. Have you all, I want to try to give a practical example. Have you ever seen a patient recovering from surgery, and as soon as he or she starts to feeling better, they stop taking the medicine and they stop doing what the doctor said that they should do. And the next thing you know, the condition comes back, the pain resumes, and the quality of life begins to go down. Why? That's because the patient did not engage in long-term commitment with the healing process. I hope that phrase sticks with us. You have got to engage in long-term commitment with the healing process. I know some of you all have been through surgeries and procedures and things here lately and recently, but you have got to engage in long-term commitment with the healing process. And I want to admonish us this evening that as it pertains to our spiritual health and well-being, let us engage in long-term commitment and learn how to not only trust the process, but the process maker. I've got to leave this January 13th quote, but I'm telling you all, it's about patience. And it is about the long-term commitment, or the commitment to the long-term healing process. Not just a place of visitation, but a place for dwelling. That's how this thing has to go. All right, it's so good to see you all this evening. You know that we're reading from this book right here, Billboards to Better. It's on my website, www.gbcutler.com, or you can just go directly to amazon.com and pick it up. You don't need it to join the conversation, but it certainly helps. All right, let's go on to our quote for January 14th. So good to see all of you all. Our quote for January 14th. And again, I'm trying not to waste your time because I want to make sure that we're getting something from this. I want to make sure that our time is well spent. So let's talk about this on January 14th. And here's what it says. Punctuate your life properly. What you're going through today is not a period. It's just a comma. Commas have something fulfilling and completing on the other side. I know if some of you all are like some of my friends and some of my family members, you didn't necessarily like English or grammar or any of that stuff when you were in elementary or even high school. I, for whatever reason, enjoyed the subject, went on to study it further when I, on the undergraduate level, I really did. And I happen to like the English language. But we all know what a period is, and we know what a comma is. We know that a period comes at the end of the sentence. And a period, bless you, Cousin Tim Taylor, bless you so much, man. We know that a period means we see it at the end of a sentence. And what I'm saying to some of us this evening, some of us who are going to go back and read and watch the replay, you all, is that some of the things that you're going through, some of the things that are occurring in your life, you all understand that it is not a period, but it is just a comma. The difference between a period and a comma is that a period is a full stop, but a comma is just a brief pause. Lord have mercy. So some of the things that we're going through, it's not a full stop, you all, it's just a brief pause. Learn how to interpret and translate your own life. Don't let other people interpret your life for you. I know that we are all epistles read of men, and sometimes they read the punctuation marks too. But you all don't let other people interpret your life for you. Why? Because people will pronounce rain and storms over your life when all you see is sunshine. And after a while, if you're not careful, you will end up seeing the storm clouds when none ever existed. Just because you watch other people interpret and punctuate your life. Don't do that, you all. You will end up seeing a dead end when it was only a curve. And you'll end up seeing periods when it was only a comma. You have got to remember, you all of us, we've got to remember that trouble was never meant to be the ultimate conclusion for our lives. I know we've had dark moments and hurdles and all of those things to jump over and tribulations to deal with. I know all of that. But trouble was never meant to be the sum total or the conclusion, the finality of any of our lives. So I got to keep reminding us, including myself, that we weren't created for destruction, defeat, or demise, you all, but we were created for splendor and honor and to be victors. Am I under the misguided notion that life is always going to be wonderful and grand? Absolutely not. But what I'm suggesting you all is that we learn how to punctuate our own lives. What does it mean and what does it look like? I mean, learn how to take a brief pause instead of a full stop. Put a comma where you need one, you all. And then understand that there's something glorious on the other side of that comma. Why? Because I didn't stop. I just took a brief pause so I can breathe, so I can refresh and renew and reinvigorate and keep on going. It was just a pause. Learn how to be, and then not only the commas and the periods, you all, but if we're going to talk about punctuating our lives, we don't always understand everything. So learn how to be okay with leaving question marks by things that you don't understand. We will never have all of the answers to the questions that we ask in life. Absolutely never. Let's learn how to be okay with the question marks. And then while we're writing the narratives, you all, I know this sounds like a lesson in English grammar and punctuation and all that stuff, right? But have you all ever seen like those dot, 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 those three periods on a sentence or either at the end of a sentence? It's something that is called a period of ellipsis. And we use those whenever you've omitted something or whenever your thoughts just sort of trail away. Whenever you omitted something and whenever your thoughts just sort of trail away. And what am I saying? Whenever you write the narrative, learn how to omit people and things who meant you no good and don't serve you well. If we're going to punctuate our lives, let's just learn how to punctuate it and don't let other people take their pens and start writing on your life. You don't get to write on my life. All you get to do is read it. You don't even get to interpret it. Take control of your life, y'all. Don't let people take their pen like some English teachers used to do. And I'm guilty of this. Don't let people take their red pen and mark all over your life. Don't do that, you all. You take the pen, remove it from their hand, and you punctuate your life the way that you see best and the way that you see fit. And you punctuate your own life. And again, I'm not saying that we're going to have a trouble-free life or a life without worry and problems and all that stuff. No, absolutely not. I am not so disillusioned as to think that some things that occur in life that we don't ever want to see again. Let me just say that again. I am not so disillusioned as to think that there are some things that occur in our lives that we don't ever want to see again. Yes, some things that happen in my life, I don't want to see them again. I just don't want to see some things again. I'm telling you all, some situations, some people, some moments, you all, for some of those things, we really can put a period. And there are some times in life when life will actually place a period. And we've got to learn how to live with the periods. We've got to live with the periods, y'all. And here's what you've got to understand. I want you all to get this when we talk about punctuating our lives, you all. A conclusion is not the same thing as an ending. And I know that sounds weird. I know it sounds strange, but I'm going to make this thing make sense tonight. A conclusion is not the same thing as an ending. You will reach several conclusions in your life, but you will only reach one end. So life will have a whole lot of periods, But it's up to you to interpret and understand that the period does not mean an end. It's just a conclusion. Let me see if I can make this make sense for us tonight, you all. I know me in all my vast understanding of grammar and all this stuff, but let me make it make sense. A conclusion is not the same thing as the end, you all. It is not. How many of you have ever read a book? And that is not a trick question. I know we're talking from this book and talking about this book, but it's not a trick question. Think about the books that you've read, even as a child. When you got to the end of a sentence, what was there? A period. When you got to the end of a sentence, you all, there was a period. But guess what? You kept on reading and discovered that even if you were writing, you could write more and more sentences and read more sentences even after you got to the end of that period. Do you remember when you got to the end of that sentence where there was a period? It didn't mean it was the end. It was not the end, you all. It was the conclusion of a thought, but you kept reading after that sentence. Along comes another sentence, and you had a whole paragraph that was constructed. A paragraph has several periods in it. Lots of conclusions in our lives, you all. And just because you got to the end of that paragraph, it didn't mean the story ended. You went on to another paragraph where you encountered more periods. And then from that paragraph, you got to the end of the chapter, and guess what? It wasn't the end of it all, because you kept reading and there was another chapter. And you got to the end of that chapter, you kept reading because that was just the end of that section. In your old story books, you only saw the end one time. Those two words you saw only one time. What am I saying, you all? In life, there are a whole lot of conclusions, but only one end. And just because you come to a point in your life where it looks and feels like there is termination to it, yes, there may be termination, but it's not the end. It is just a conclusion, you all. We're going to have a whole lot of conclusions. I want to remind us that there will be a full stop to a whole lot of things in our lives, but that's not the end of your life. It ended, you didn't. And I'm telling you all this, I just want to remind us, you all, that life is filled with conclusions, some good and some bad, some victorious and some heartbreaking. Some of you all who know me on a personal level, or at least have heard me even on this platform, some of you all may remember that a few months ago, I stood over my father's casket and delivered the eulogy. That was heartbreaking. And the very next day, I stood over his grave and I delivered the committal. That was heartbreaking and gut-wrenching. And as painful as it was, I had to walk away from that period and realize it was just a conclusion for me, but it wasn't the end. What am I saying to somebody? There are some situations in our lives that we may encounter. They may be heartbreaking and gut-wrenching, you all, but it's not the end. We have to develop the fortitude and the wherewithal to say, as heartbreaking and gut-wrenching as this may be, God, give me the fortitude to turn away and just rewrite another sentence right after that one. Let me just go back and conclude this by reading. Suffering and trouble are never meant to be the final plan. They're just commas. Punctuate every trial with a comma and have hope because of what's on the other side. You all, for as much as I understand English and grammar, I hope you all get this. Lots of questions we'll have in our lives, so it's okay for the question mark. Lots of the ... what we call the period of ellipsis, because sometimes you want to omit people and things who mean you no good. Sometimes you want to put a comma in your life and you say to yourself, remind yourself, this is just a comma, it's not a period. It means I'm taking a brief pause, or I'm not taking a full stop. I'm just taking a respite, a moment to renew and revive myself so that I can handle what awaits me on the other side of the comma. And then just because there's a period, Gregory said to me, Cutler said on this platform tonight, that it is just a conclusion, but it's not the end. Okay? We've got to get that, you all. We've got to get it and understand it. Looking like we're dealing with people trying to tell us that we're dealing with the end. No, it's not the end. There's more to my life than this moment. There's something after this. Another sentence, another chapter, another section. And sometimes, you all, I'm just going to say this, another whole book. All right, let's go on to January 15th and let's talk about this quote for January 15th. You all, don't let me talk and just miss my 1800 seconds. I got to make this matter. All right. If you haven't done so, do me a favor and go ahead and click on the thumbs up to just remind me that you like this conversation. More importantly, to say to YouTube, hey, this is some good stuff that this guy's talking about. All right, we're reading from this book, Billboards to Better. It's so good to see all of you all. I think I might just shout some of you all out in just a moment. But let's talk about January 15th. That's our quote for tomorrow. And I'm not even going to spend a whole lot of time with January 15th because it speaks for itself, you all. Quite often, we bind ourselves by the very boundaries that we've drawn for others. Quite often, we bind ourselves by the very boundaries that we've drawn for other people. Some of you all have heard me talk about learning to live outside of the box for as long as you can. Because at some point, we'll be in a box for a long time. But let's learn to live outside of the box. Let's learn to live outside of the boundaries, you all. Because what I've discovered is that sometimes the reason why we're in the box is because we draw the circle, we draw the lines to keep others out. But we've imprisoned ourselves by the very thing that we were trying to keep away. Sometimes we're trying to keep chaos away, but we've drawn a line that keeps us locked on the back walls of chaos. And it's okay to draw the lines, but don't let the line, you all, it's okay to draw the lines, but don't let the lines have power over you. Because the same thing that protects you can sometimes imprison you. We draw those lines to protect us and to keep things at bay and to keep things away. And what we don't realize is that we shield ourselves from the good that can come our way. While we're shielding ourselves from the harm that we think we see, we're also sometimes shielding ourselves from the good things that we don't see. How can I make this make sense, you all? I've encountered people who wrestle with the disease of alcoholism. I'm not talking about people just taking an occasional drink and all of that, but I'm talking about people who are diagnosed and clinically considered alcoholics, and I've had the occasion to meet people who suffer from that disease. And what I know about some of them is that they would drink to numb themselves from life. But what they did not get, you all, they wanted to numb themselves from the pain of life. But what they didn't get was that while they were numbing themselves from the pain of life, they were also numbing themselves to the joy and the wonderful moments and the happiness of life and the peace and the contentment. So sometimes the very thing that you use to numb yourself from badness, did I say badness? Yeah, the very thing that you use to numb yourself from the bad will shield you from the good. The very lines that you draw to keep others out will imprison you. Don't let those lines imprison you all. Let them empower you all. Because you never want to be held hostage by your own hand. Because when you're held hostage by your own hand, you spend a lifetime looking for the key. You say, how do I get myself out of this? Because what happened, the key was on the other side. You locked yourself inside. Let's not become prisoners of our own doing. So what we should do, as you're drawing lines, make sure that you're drawing lines. And sometimes the lines are dot, 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 dot. They're not so solid that good can't get to you. They're not so solid that you can't breathe through them. It's almost like these masks that we're wearing. These masks are not made of plastic because the plastic would totally shield anything from getting to us, but it would also shield oxygen from getting to us. And that's what we do a lot of times. I was looking for plastic, like I got plastic here in my office around me. I don't have any plastic, but I think you get the point. Don't shield out the good, you all. Learn how to shield out the bad. And what does that mean? It means taking control over your lives. It means evaluating your lives. It means doing an assessment over the good that people bring and the bad that they sometimes try to bring along with them. You get a chance to filter all that. You are your own buffer, you're your own filter, you're your own welcome mat. And just because somebody wipes their foot on your welcome mat, it doesn't mean they get to walk through your threshold. Just because they wipe their foot on your welcome mat, it doesn't mean that they get to walk through your threshold. Okay? Let's be careful. Keep the bad out, but let the good in. Don't live your life in such a way that you are a hermit. And I know I've been accused sometimes of being so recluse. I've been accused of being cold and distant. But what I've grown to be is discerning and discriminating about who and what I allow in my life. I'm my best filter, and so are you. You all, I want to thank you for this time. I want to thank you for this 1,800 seconds. It's gone by so quickly, and I'm going to be here next Tuesday. I hope you will as well. I'm not even going to conclude with a poem, not this evening. I want to say thank you to all of you all. And here we are at the end of this evening. So those of you who've watched, those of you who've joined me live in the chat, I want to say thank you so much. Listen, you all, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're here reading from this book. And I try to make sure I make every second significant, every moment matter, and every minute meaningful on the 1,800 seconds with Let's Talk to Cutler. All right, a quick shout out to all of you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. I want to say to my LTTC VIPs for the evening, thank you all. Thank you, Mika. Thank you, Auntie. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Hetty. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. You all do me a favor. Like, subscribe, and share this platform. I'll see you all next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Bye.